Hi, I'm Sam Luce here with iZotope. In this video, we're going to take a look at multiband processing and how you can use it in your productions. We'll start off with multiband compression and then move on to other kinds of multiband processing and how you can get really creative with your tracks. Make sure to download your free trial of Music Production Suite Pro now at iZotope.com to follow along. Subscribe to this channel and make sure to hit the bell icon to get notification anytime we upload something new. Let's jump straight in. To get the most out of multiband compression, you should start with a basic understanding of how normal compression works. For more on that, click on the link above to watch our video on the basics of compression. But in a nutshell, compressors are used to reduce an audio signal's dynamic range. In other words, they help you reduce the difference between the loudest and the quietest parts of a sound, so the listener doesn't experience sudden spikes in volume levels. Multiband compression works in a similar way, but it allows for greater precision. Fundamentally, a multiband compressor is a group of more than one compressors, each of which operates on one section of the frequency spectrum. These sections are created using a crossover, which splits the audio into frequency bands. This allows us to control which area of the frequency spectrum we are compressing, instead of compressing everything, as we would with conventional full band compression. For example, a crossover at 200 Hz would split the audio into everything below 200 Hz, which could then be fed to one compressor, and everything above 200 Hz, which could be fed into another compressor. This would be a two-band compressor. You could take this further and create another crossover, this time perhaps at 2 kHz. Now you have a three-band compressor that operates independently below 200 Hz, from 200 to 2 kHz, and above 2 kHz. What makes this useful in mixing and mastering is that you can apply different settings to different frequency bands, tailored to the frequency band it's working on. To help you determine where the crossover points could be in your source, add all bands and press the Learn icon here to have the plugin divide the bands for you based on the track's energy. You'll need to play some audio to get this process started. The acoustic guitar is a great example to hear multiband compression at work. Take a listen to this instrument in the mix and hear how the high frequencies are just poking out of the mix a bit too much and getting in the way of the lead vocal. By soloing each band, we can hear what the compressor will hear and understand which part of the sound we will be affecting. The low end is where the body and the weight of the instrument lies. In the mid-range, we have the grit of the guitar. This is where a lot of the instrument's tone is going to be sitting. And in the highs, we have the sibilance and the pick attack of the acoustic guitar. As I bring the threshold down so the high frequencies are starting to be compressed, we will hear a softening of the pick attack. Let's hear how that's changed the sound. It's subtle, but in a mix, lots of small moves like that add up to make a big difference. So with a basic understanding under our belt, when should we be using multiband compression? Well, when it comes to multiband compression in mixing, there are generally two broad cases that may prompt us to use it. The first would be to help control a problematic frequency region in a source recording. The second would be to help achieve more transparent sidechain compression. We'll look at specific examples in a moment, but some examples could include compressing the high end of an acoustic guitar where the pick attack is too pronounced, as it was in the previous example. Compressing just the high end of a mix to help tame sibilance, or you could use an external sidechain to compress just the low end of a bass instrument to a kick drum for increased clarity without pumping in the rest of the frequency spectrum. We've heard what a multiband compressor can do on an individual instrument, so now let's hear what it can do for a full mix. I'm going to use Ozone's Dynamics module here and create 3 separate bands. Then I'm going to press the Learn icon and play the track. Ozone will intelligently analyse the mix and suggest where the crossover points should be for us to have complete control over the full frequency spectrum.
Just keep getting bigger. Just numbers and figures.
I think overall this mix sounds a bit too bright and sibilant, but not in the way that can be corrected by EQ. I just want to gently compress the high end when it gets a bit too much. Let's look at this compressor on the 4th band and just compress the sibilance to achieve a smoother master.
Work the same damn shift every damn day. These stack of papers just keep getting bigger. Just numbers and figures. Work the same damn shift every damn day. These stack of papers just keep getting bigger. Just numbers and figures. Work the same damn.
So how can we use multiband compression to our advantage when using sidechains? Well, think of the classic example of a kick drum and a bass. They both occupy the same area of the frequency spectrum, the low end. Often we'll want to duck the bass when the kick drum hits to allow it to be heard and not be masked by the bass. This is a handy technique, but when using a full band compressor, it has its downfalls. We will be ducking the entire frequency spectrum of the bass, including all the mid-range and high-end information that isn't actually causing an issue. By using multiband compression, we can split the bass into 2 bands, low end and everything else. By doing this, the kick is only going to duck the low end of the bass and leave the rest alone. This lets us be far more transparent. We won't be getting any pumping artifacts in the mids or highs, but we can still achieve that ducking effect to allow the kick to punch through. We can activate the sidechain input for a compression band in Neutron Pro by checking the sidechain button. You can then route the kick into the plugin in the usual way for your DAW. Multiband compression is an incredibly powerful tool. And through Neutron Pro and Ozone Pro, we can apply this multiband ethos to a whole host of other processes. Let's apply this methodology to another type of dynamics processing, the gate. Snare drums can be a troublesome instrument to mix, often with a large amount of hi-hat spill in the microphone. This can stop us from being able to boost the high end that's needed to get that snap. Well, with a multiband gate, we're able to work around this issue and add all the necessary snap to that snare without increasing the hi-hat spill. So how many bands should we be using when applying multiband processing? Well, the simple answer is as few as possible. There's no reason to split the signal into 4 bands if 2 will suffice. If you only want to affect the low end of a track, just split it into 2 bands, leaving the signal you don't want to affect on the band you won't apply the processing to. Once you get to grips with the multiband way of thinking, you will open up a whole range of new possibilities in your mix processing, all of which can be achieved by using Neutron Pro and Ozone Pro. So remember, multiband compression allows you to compress specific frequency ranges. These changes can affect one specific frequency band and not the entire signal. By understanding multiband processing, we can remedy so many issues in a mix as well as getting far more creative in your digital audio workstation of choice. Make sure to get your free trial of Music Production Suite Pro now, so you can check out the multiband features in Ozone Pro and Neutron Pro. I'm Sam Luce, thanks so much for watching. Take care.